HaKadosh Boker Or, Masechet Nazir Daf Amud Aleph 881 says the Mishnah, Hareni Nazir Kisar Roshi. If a person says that he's going to be a Nazir like the hairs of his head, or like Afar Haaretz, or like Chol Hayam, which means each one of these Lishonot, right? Imagine how much a person has hair on their head, or how much are the sand of the sea, or how much is it going to be right now, Afar Haaretz. So it is a Nazir Olam. This is considered a Nazir Olam, a Nazir forever. Why? Because at the end of the day, imagine how many times he's going to have to do Nazirut. And he's going to do Giluach, which means he's going to cut his hair every single 30 days. Right? Keneged kol se'ara sheberosho. Or keneged, that means each one of his hairs. Or like keneged every single afara aretz. They're going to be the granules of whether it's going to be the dirt of the land or like the sea. Rabbi says, you cannot come and do one every single 30 days, right? Because he comes says that this is mashma, that he's going to be mekabel tkufat nezirut once, just like, meaning like this. According to the Tanakama, he's learning that when you come and you say, I'm going to be a nazir, like the hair of my head, he's learning that every single hair is a new 30 days. So now, since every single hair is going to be a new 30 days, so imagine what it is. He's going to have to do 30, 50 million times, but it's every single 30 days he could come and he's going to, do like a nude. So therefore he could come and he could lighten his hair. However, though, he comes and he says, but if you learn that it's all one entity of everything together, so then it's something different. So what is considered according to this shita of Rabbi, that you're going to cut your hair once every single 30 days? I'm going to accept upon myself nezirot like the se'ar roshi or a fara'aretz cholayam, which means that here you're saying in mefurash, I'm accepting upon myself nezirot in plural, meaning it's not one entity of million, right? It's like a lot. Okay, that's what, right, we're coming and we're saying. Next case in the Mishnah. Hareni Nazir Melo Abayit. If a person comes and he says that he's going to be a Nazir, Melo Abayit, just like the entire house, which we're going to, or here there's another Girsa Melo Chavit, or Melo Kupa, or like full the entire Kupa. Botkinoto, we're going to actually be choker what exactly are the contents of the whether it's going to be the Kupa or the house or whatever it is. Imamad, if he comes and he says, Achat Gedola Nazarti, that I had kavanah for one big one, Nazir Shoshim Yom, so then it's going to be a Nazir for 30 days. But if he says, Stam Nazarti, that Stam, he made this neder, right, of Nazirut, so we're going to look at the kupa, that it's full of the mustard seeds, and then he's going to become a Nazir for the rest of his life. Hareni Nazir Mikana Makom Ploni. Imagine a person comes and he says that he's going to be a Nazir from now until a certain place. So we're going to evaluate how long does it take for him to get from here to this place. If it's going to be less than 30 days, he's going to be 30 days. Because remember, there's nothing less than 30 days. And if not, he's going to be Nazir like that. So if it's going to take him 35 days, it's 35. If it's 28, it's 30. Because the minimum is 30. But whatever it takes him more, it's more. If a person comes and he says that he's going to be a Nazir like the days of the lunar cycle, he's going to have to do 365 days. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, says Rabbi Yehuda, there was actually a story that they obligated to do the 365 days, and when he finished the Nazirut, he died. Right? So he comes and he wanted to say that the din is like the Tanakama, right? That a person that says Hareni Nazir Kinyan Yom, he's the Chachamim, they actually obligated him to do it the entire time until he actually died when he finished it. And we're not going to say that it's only like one Shnat Chama Achat Bilvad.
Does it matter if he died already?
There's a Gemara. Ro'in et hakupa ki'ilu mele'ah chardal ve'nazir kol yamav. So therefore, he comes and he says, right? He says like this. We're going to look, right, at the kupa, ki'ilu, that we're going to look at this barrel or whatever it is exactly, that it's full of mustard seeds, and then he's going to be a Nazir for the rest of his life. Why? Why don't we come and look at it? Why are you coming and saying mustard seeds? Mustard seeds is very, very small. So for you could fill up a kupa with, thousands of them. Why don't we just say that it's big pumpkins? If it's a big pumpkin, so you take this kupa You fill it with pumpkins. How many is already going to be? 10, 20, 30, but it's not going to be, I don't know what, hundreds in the, you understand? So why did you come and you telling me in the Mishnah that we're going to look at the kupa, that it's filled with mustard seeds, and therefore he's going to be a Nazir the rest of his life? Why don't we just look that it's filled with kishun duluin, which are basically like cucumbers and pumpkins and things like that? And then he has a takana that he's not going to be mamash kol yamav. He's not going to be for the rest of his life a Nazir. So Amar Chizkiah says Chizkiah b'machloket shnuya. This is actually a machloket v'Rabbi Shimoni, and it's Rabbi Shimon. The Amar Adam machnis et admo ledavar shesveko chamur mivadai. That a person will put himself into a something which the safek is more chamur than the vadai. What does that mean? The safek is more chamur than the vadai. A person that's going to be mekabel nizirut, that it's going to be talui b'safek, he's going to be maskim b'datot to accept all the chumrot because of the safek. Even though there are more chumrot of the tzadat safek, if we would have known it from the beginning. Time was we learned to the Braita. Listen to this case. Imagine a person comes and he says, you know what? He's going to become a Nazir on condition. What's the condition? In this pile, right, there's going to be 100 kur. And all of a sudden they found that they stole the pile or it got lost. So imagine, he comes and he says, he's going to become a Nazir, but on what condition? That this pile has 100 kur. A certain measurement. Let's say 30 kilos, whatever it is. You know, you threw out the number. 30 kilos. So, okay, fine. Now, let's go check it. They come, oh, it was stolen. It was lost. So now they don't know how much was there or not. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda matir. Rabbi Yehuda comes and he says, it's going to be mutar. Sorry, I forgot the first one. Rabbi Shimon says that it's going to be asur, and he's going to be a Nazir le'olam. Shesafek nezirut le'achmir, because we go le'achmir and safek nezirut. Rabbi Yehuda matir safek nezirut le'akel. What comes out of this is machloket. Do we go le'akel or le'achmir by safek nezirut? Very important. Do we go le'akel or le'achmir? Okay, machloket between Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Yehuda. According to Rabbi Shimon, safek nezirut le'achmir. Right, that means basically we go le'chumra. I don't know how much there was. You go le'chumra. Rabbi Yehuda says no, safek nezirut le'akel. Rabbi Yochanan comes and he says, Afilu Teima Rabbi Yehuda, even you're going to tell me it's going to be Rabbi Yehuda, that he says, Safek Nezirut La'alakel, Hatam over there, Lo Nachil El Nezirut, it wasn't going to be Chal the Nezirum Safek. Hacha Nachil El Nezirut, B'may Le'silukim Minem. Here, you already have the Nezirut. The question is, how do you get out of it? Which means like this, one more time. In that case, you didn't start the Nezirut. If you didn't start the Nezirut, and the entire question is, are you a Nazir or not? There, that will tell you safek nezirut lakel. You go lenient. Here, you're already for sure a Nazir. The question is, how do you get out of a Nazir? Meaning, do you say that it's going to be in 20 times of Nazirut because it's full of kishuin and dluin and big items, or you're going to say no, it's full of mustard seeds, and then you're never going to get out of it. Here, once you're already in it, it is more difficult to get out of it, and therefore, even according to Rabbi Yehuda, that he says usually that we go lakel. It could be that over here, it's nothing to do with it because you're already in it. Once you're already in it, you already have a chazakah of being a Nazir, and then you want to try to get out of it. That's much more chumrah than getting into it whatsoever. So the Gemara says, so why don't we just look at the fact that it's going to be full of kishuim v'dluin? Therefore he has a takana. So you see from here, that he already accepted upon himself kivud nezirut one after another. And therefore, for sure, he wants to finish it after a certain amount of time, which is basically malabait, kishuim, or whatever it is. And he doesn't want the nezirut. So therefore, why are we going to come and we're going to obligate the nezirut, right? An extra nezirut, misafek. Why do we want that? You understand? No. So now we're on Chet Amubet, 8b. The Gemara now says, the Gemara answers, the Yehuda savalak Rabbi. So Rabbi Yehuda, remember Rabbi Yehuda was the one that holds that to do like Rabbi, to do with the zirunei chardal, which is basically like the mustard seeds. The Tanam, as we learned in the Mishnah, Rabbi says, you cannot come and cut your hair once every 30 days. Who's the one that's going to cut his hair every 30 days? Remember, Nazirut is in plural. Once you say it's in plural, which means that each one is a separate Nazirut. It's not one Nazirut. At the beginning, when we learned the Mishnah, we said, if a person says that he's going to be a Nazir, like the hair of his head, so you're going to count every single hair of his head, and then you're going to do one Nazirut of all that. So imagine if every hair is 30 days. So that's it. He's going to be for Nazir forever. But if it's going to be Naziriyot, like the Sar Roshi, each one is a separate entity of 30 days. So after every single 30 days, he could cut his hair. You're right. Again, he has to start another one because every hair was another 30 days. But in between each 30 days is a new entity, and which makes it much easier, obviously. Right?
Is
So says the Gemara, asked the Gemara of Rabbi Yehuda, min Saba like Rabbi, does Rabbi Yehuda actually hold like Rabbi? But now we learned in a Mishnah, Hareni Nazir kiminyan emota chama. If a person comes and he says that he's going to be a Nazir, kiminyan emota chama. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, says Rabbi Yehuda, Maaseh Ayah, there was a story, V'kivan she'ishlim met. What happened? When he finished it, he basically died, which means you see from here, this is a proof to the Tanakama that there was a story of such a case. And the Chachamim came and he said he needed a whole bunch of Nazirut Rabot until the guy basically died. It wasn't like he was able to finish it off. He died. So maybe you're going to tell me now Nazirut that he was Mekabel on himself, Nazirut Nifradot, which means each one was Nifrad. Hainu Tama, that's the reason the Kevin Ishlim is once he finished one Kupa Nazirut, he died. So that's a proof to Tanakama. But if you're going to tell me Chada Nazirut Kabel Leve that it was only one Nazirut, Miyavi Hashama Klal, can you actually even finish it? You can't even finish such a thing. It's so many years. How do you even finish such a thing? And furthermore, Misava like Rabbi, does he hold like Rabbi? That time we learned in a bright Rabbi Yehuda says, Hareni Nazir Minyan Hilkete Kaitz. If a person comes and he says, like the aremot of the te'enim, which are coming to be dried up, which means they used to come and they used to put dried figs in order to dry up. Or like Minyan Shibule Shemitah, or like the Shibulim which are spread during the year of Shemitah. So Monen Nezirut Kinyan Hilkete Kaitz, which means all Yamav, he's going to be counting the 30 days. Right? So you see from here, Rabbi Yehuda holds that a person that's going to be Toleni Dro and certain things which are separate, right? It's going to be, even if he didn't actually say that, it's not going to be like Rabbi, it's going to be like that. So answers the Gemara, when a person says minyan, like the number, minyan shane, which means if a person comes and he says kiminyan, like the amount, it's like he's not actually adding onto it. And only when he says the word minyan, then Rabbi Yehuda says he's going to accept upon himself nezirut nifradot. Ve'en zeh soter ledat Rabbi. It's not going to go against that which Rabbi actually says. So says the Gemara, mishani le Rabbi minyan. Right? Does Rabbi hold that there's a difference between when a person says minyan, meaning the amount, the number of? Vatanya, we learned in a braita. Hareni nazir kinyan yemot hachama. If a person comes and he says he's going to be a nazir kiminyan, like the amount of yemot hachama. Moneh neziru kiminyan yemot hachama. Kimel levana, moneh kimel levana. Rabbi says, ad sheomar nezirut alai kiminyan yemot levana, which means he has to say nezirot alai, not areni nazir. Nezirot alai kiminyan yemot levana, which means it's mefurash braita that according to Rabbi, even if you did add in the word kiminyan, you're not going to be mechayev nezirut nifradot. So if so, how could Rabbi Yehuda hold like Rabbi, right? If he says that even if you're going to add the word kiminyan, it's going to be nezirut nifradot. Remember, each time I want to make it that it's nifrad, it's separate. So then I'm going to come and I'm going to be able to cut my hair in the middle every 30 days, right? But then it's separate. If you're going to tell me it's all one entity, you can't, right? Because it's all one, so you can't cut your hair in the middle. So the Gemara answers, Rabbi Yehuda, you're right. Rabbi Yehuda holds like Rabbi in one halacha, and he argues on him, right, in the other one. What does that mean? Savala kavate bechada, he holds like him in one, chada nezirut kavalave, that it's only one nezirut. It's one entity, it's not separate. But he argues on him in the other one, but according to Rabbi Yehuda, shani lemoneh, Rabbi Yehuda holds that if a person says the word minyan, it's different, right? But then he's mitchayev and nezirut nifradot, and Rabbi says there's no difference even if you said the word kiminyan, like the amount of. Okay, so that's going to be the means Rabbi Yehuda who holds like Rabbi in one halacha, but he argues on Rabbi in the other halacha. Okay, fine. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned to the Braita. Hareni Nazir kol yemei chayai. If a person comes and he says he's going to be a Nazir all the days of his life, or so it's a Nazir Olam. Harez de Nazir Olam, afilu mea shana, even if he lives for 100 years or 1,000 years, eno Nazir, en de Nazir Olam, and Nazir le Olam. There's a difference between Nazir le'olam or Nazir olam. Remember, when it says Nazir olam, he's allowed to come and to cut his hair once every 12 months. But if he comes and he says, even for 100 years or 1,000 years, it's not a Nazir olam, it's a Nazir le'olam. Once it's le'olam, he can never cut his hair whatsoever. That was like the Nazirut Shimshon that you mentioned before, Jean-Jacques. Yeah? Fine. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in the Braita. Hareni Nazir ve'achat. If a person says he's a Nazir and one, Moneh shtayim, right? He's going to do two different Naziruts. One and another one. The odd, and furthermore, when he says he's going to be a Nazir ve'achat, the odd, he's going to do three then. But he said, Hareni Nazir is one. Achat is like an extra day, is two. And then the odd is a third one. The shuv, if he says, Hareni Nazir ve'achat, the odd, the shuv, it's 4 times. So says the Gemara, Pshita, obviously. Why wouldn't? Because each one is like a Nazirut. You're adding an extra entity. Because if you already said, we learned that before a few days ago, yeah? So it says Pshita, obviously. So it says the Gemara, I would have thought to say Veshuv Kikulu. I would have thought to say that the Kavanah is when it says the word Veshuv, it's like everything, which means the Kavanah is Litchayev again in all the Nazirots again. Meaning when you say Veshuv, it's like deja vu. It's like, you go back again, like Khalila, you start again the count. So 1 second. If you just said Hareni Nazir is 1, Achat is 2, and then Od is 3, when you say Veshuv, it's not 4. It's you have to do again 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
That's what I would have thought. Veshuv, you're doing again. So he says, I would have thought say Veshuv Kikulu, Vaveleshit, so it becomes 6. Kamash Malan, not that it's only 4. The Veshuv is an extra 1, so it's going to become 4.
But okay. He could have thought that.
Exactly, that was that one more. Okay. We learned in the Braita, Hareni Nazir, if a person comes and he says, Hareni Nazir, Sumchu says, if he says hen, it's 1. Digon means stein. Trigon is 3. Tetragon, right? Tetragon. These are all like, like the 1, 2, 3s, right?
Latin.
Tetragon, Latin, right, is 4. Pontigon, a pentagon, right? Pontigon is chamesh. You understand? That means basically if a person comes and he added in the word, right? 1 is 1, 2 is 2, right? But he did it in Latin. So it's hen, digon, right? Like a digon, right? Tri, right? Tri is always 3, right? Tetragon, that's 4. Pentagon, pontagon, that's what it says. The pontagon is going to be 5. Tarabana, we learned to the Braita. Bait agol, digon, right? When you talk about a bait agol, a round house, or a digon, which means it has 2 corners, or a trigon, or 3 corners, or pontagon, or 5 corners, eno mitameh b'negaim. It's not going to be mitameh b'negaim. But a tetragon, which is 4 corners, is always mitameh b'negaim. That means here, I don't know how we got into, I guess because we were talking about all the tetragons and all these things, we went back to the negaim, right? What does that mean? My time on what's the reasoning? Because lemata umer, in the pasuk it says kid, and then it says kirot. So it's mashma, you have 2 walls, right? Lemala woman, and it says also above, right? Kid kirot. So it's mashma that's 4 kirot. So you see from here that when we're talking about nige batim, whenever we're talking about the negaim that goes on a house, it always has to have walls. How many walls? It has to have 4 walls. Remember that whenever you're talking about whether it's going to be a trigon, right, or a tetragon, right, or a triangle, right, which is going to be 3 walls, or you're going to be a pentagon, it's got 5 walls. So therefore, whenever we're talking about nigeb batim, it always has to have 4 walls. So that's 4 walls. It's going to be mitameh b'negaim. If not, it's not going to be mitameh b'negaim.
Kirot is more than 1.
Exactly. Kirot. So that's 4.
You have a triangle.
No, that's what we said 4. It has kirot. What does that mean? When it says uomer kir, so the milah kirot is mashma that it's 2 walls. Also above it says uomer kir, which means kirot, which is 2 walls. 2 plus 2 is 4. So it has to have 4 walls. It cannot have more or less. If it's got more than 4 walls or less than 4 walls, no, kirot. Right? Uomer kir, and then it says kirot. When it says the word kirot, look in the pasuk over there. The pasuk says v'shava kohen yom sheni v'ravi ine pasa nega b'kirot habayit. So when it says kirot and it doesn't say kir, it's mashma that we learn actually 2. So therefore, if it's going to be 2, because the minimum of plural is always 2, so if it has to be 2 plus 2, 2 plus 2 is 4. It cannot be more or less. If it's more than 4, right, or it's going to be less, then it's not going to be mitameh ben negai. Have a wonderful day.